Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the third lesson for Unit Three's notebook. So today we're going to be learning about domain and range. And I have this image right here and I'll put it up. So domain and range are ways that we can identify what type of values that a function can have, specifically when we're talking about like graphs usually. So I have this little mnemonic device, Dixieroid, about how we can describe domain and range. So D is for domain, and I is for the inputs. It is set of all possible inputs. Remember, input's another word for x values because I'm putting it into the equation, so the x comes first. So it's the x values. Obviously, x then means x values, set of all possible x values. And the I is the independent variable because x's are the independent variables. So that's another word we can use for it. So domain represents the x values. We can also call that the input or the independent variable. Then we have the range. So R means range. So O is the output, set of all possible output values. And that's also identifying the y values. So it's a set of all possible y values. And then another one to describe the y values or the output is the dependent variable. So the set of all possible values for the dependent variable. So Dixieroid, domain, input, x values, independent variable, any of those words, you know they all mean the same thing. And then roid is range, output, y values, dependent variable. So you know anytime we use any of these words, it means range. So then that's what you're going to be putting here. And then you're going to have practice on labeling domain and range. And I'm going to do one from each page. There's 2 pages here. So I'm going to do one of them. Okay. So right here is a table of values, and they're all representing the same type of thing. This is a table. This is a mapping diagram. Remember, it's the same thing as like a table. This is the x values, and these are the y values. And then you have a graph. I suggest on the graph, when you make the domain and range, I would like label out all the coordinate points like on paper, like identify which point is which, and then you can list out the domain and range. That's just a tip. So for here, okay, I'm going to list out the domain. So my domain is 6, -8, 5, 0, and 6. You can also put them in numerical order. So that could look like this: -8, 0, 5. And technically, since 6 is labeled twice, I could just technically write 6 once. If it was a multiple choice problem, more than likely you would not see 6 written twice. You would only see it written once. And a lot of the time they do put their answers in numerical order. So then my range would be my y values. And so that would look like this: 2, 5, 8, 0, 6. Now if I wanted to put it in numerical order, it would look like this. There we go. So in numerical order, it would be 0, 2, 5, 6, and an 8. Okay, so that is an example of what we can talk about a discrete domain and range, because this is not something that goes on forever. It has a start point and an end point. So now let's look at graphs that are continuous. That means they can go on forever. And we can also use a different notation for writing our domain and range. So I would like to go over, let's go over this graph right here. Okay. So domain and range. I want to talk about when we have arrows. Remember, that means your graph is going on forever. So you are going to be talking about the word infinity, because that is this symbol that means something goes on forever. So for domain, remember domain is x's. So on the graph, x values go from left to right. So you're going to look at the graph from left to right and see what's going on. As I'm on the left side, what's happening? My graph is going down. So it's going to the left as it's going down. So, and it's got an arrow. That means it's never going to stop. So that means I have negative infinity. And remember, whenever you use infinity, you do not use brackets, you use parentheses. So parentheses, negative, and let's see if I have that symbol. Let's see. Do I have, let's see, infinity? Yes, we do. Okay. I hit it twice. All right, so I have infinity, and then on the right-hand side, I'm on the positive side on the x-axis, and what's happening? My graph is also going down, so it has an arrow, and that means it's never stopping. So as my graph goes to the right, it's going to continue going down forever. So that means it is a positive infinity because it's on the right-hand side of my graph. And I know the graph is going down, but we're talking about the x's, not the y's. So it's on the right side, which means it is a positive infinity. So I'm going to insert my infinity symbol. Okay. And then again, remember, you close it up with another parentheses. So there is my domain for this graph. The graph goes on forever in both the left and right direction. Now the range is going to be a little bit different because it does actually have a stopping point. So let's first, again, range is the y value, so we're looking at the up and down arrows right here. So again, always start the negative side first. So I'm looking at the negative side down here. What's happening? My graphs are going down on both sides. So my graph is going down. What type of infinity is that? Negative. I know it's infinity because, again, it has arrows. So I'm, again, use parentheses, and I put a negative, and then I'm going to insert the infinity symbol. Okay, infinity. All right. Now I need to look at the positive side of the y-axis. So that's up here. Now look here. Is it going up forever? It is not. It actually stops right here. We need to figure out what is that y value it's stopping at, not the x. That's not here. That's not -1. That's the x value. I want the y value. So it stops at 1, 2. So it stops at the number 2. So I'm going to actually put the number 2. Now, since I'm not using infinity on this side, I can actually put a bracket because it actually does stop at 2. I can include the number 2. So I'm going to put a bracket. Okay. I'm also want, what was I going to say? Oh, I can't remember what I was going to say. So I'll think about it later. All right. So that is how you can write with interval notation, how to write your domain and range from a graph that goes like on forever. And then this is an example of a domain and range for a discrete type of table or graph. And remember, this is what domain and range means. Dixie-Royd, domain input x values independent, range output y dependent. So I will see you guys in the next video, and hope you have a good day. Bye.